Hello. I always tell them that that's too short. I need it just a little bit longer because I start getting into a little groove and then I'm like, oh, it's over. Yeah. Hello, hello. My name is Crumshock and welcome to the end of season report, part of Shades of Blues podcast, content season, streaming live from FanFest. And then shout out to all of our Patreonies watching with us. It's the off season, which means we can relax a little bit on the tribalism. So here I am asking some of my favorite people about the clubs in the Premier League and Women's Super League. But today we're focusing on the men, the Conference League champions, Chelsea. If you are aware of our guests, you might think to yourself, Crunk, wouldn't it be best to have them on about Chelsea's women? First, yes. But don't tell me what to do. And second, there's just like a level of laissez-faire in her answers when it comes to men's sports that I find absolutely hilarious. So, of course, creating work that viewers, listeners can enjoy. That's my priority, yes. But a very close second is how much fun will I have? And I just know it's going to be great with today's guest. Shout out to Shea Butter FC, Shady Gang. Give it up.
Hey.
Sylvs, how's it going?
It's going. I was just catching up before. It's busy season, so I got some traveling to do. So this is a good excuse to not pack for a few hours. So it's nice.
Well, then I am happy to help. Procrastinate a little bit, but also it's not procrastinating because you're doing something. You know that you're actually doing something. This is good. So look at you, still finding a way to avoid work by doing work.
Exactly.
I like that. Well, for people who are going to be, this is the first end of season report of the summer. So I guess I should probably explain how this is going to work. There are 5 categories that we will go through and have our guests grade each category. That is kits, manager, squad, supporters, and front office. American style F through A. If you want to do a plus or a minus, feel free. I'm not here to tell, especially you. I'm not telling you how to grade. But let's start somewhere fun, having some fashions. Let's talk about the kits. And before we even get into the kits, I was like, long story long. I was looking at Chelsea's kits, and they don't have a sponsor on it. And they just recently got a sponsor, which is a Dubai-based property development called DMAC. And it's just a 1-year deal. And obviously, as a City fan, I'm not throwing rocks at glass mansions. I'm just not doing that. But I will make it a grand, sweeping statement that covers the league. If you look at the kit sponsors in the past, I remember like Carlsberg with Liverpool. The first time I saw that it was a beer, my brain exploded. It was like a eureka moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like Arsenal, once upon a time, was sponsored by Dreamcast. Man City, we had like Iodos, but there was like Garmin, LG, Samsung. It seemed like all of these really big social companies that kind of really needed to be reminded that they were a deal. If you look at the Premier League this year, 55% of the clubs in the Premier League had a sports betting site.
Yeah, that seems about where modern sports is right now.
Yeah. But it's like, why? Where are all the? Why isn't Apple TV sponsoring it? Like stuff like that. Like, where's going on? Like, why isn't Max? They need all these. They get right now.
I don't know, right? Because maybe there's some murkiness with the TV deals, but it's not like Peacock sponsoring, right? Like it's not. I don't know. I think that's a great question, right? Like I used to be Yokohama, but we also used to have Adidas. You also have people who are switching brands, right? Like isn't Liverpool going back to Adidas? Germany's leaving a German company. Like that's wild to me. They're going to Nike. For Adidas. So I don't know. I think things also just trend, right? We had a bunch of like tech companies and things like that who are sponsors, and now you have ideas that are companies, right? Like concepts are companies now. And so it feels like that's a lot of what's fronting, and investment firms and all of these things that definitely have people running them, but like to what extent we don't know. So yeah, I think sports again is a microcosm of society, and so I think it's probably on brand, unfortunately, that like this is what's sponsoring, and we know how much sports betting has infiltrated sports and the money to be made there and everything else. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's kind of awful how like just rooted sports betting seems to be in all of sports, and it hasn't been long. I feel like it's only been a couple of years, but honestly, it may be much longer than that. That's just how.
I think the ease in which you can do it now is and you can do it with credit cards and all these other things. It's pretty frightening how quickly it can all go left.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, let's get back to the kits. The home one, we'll start with the home kit. Blue with oil streaks, which, I thought was a little edgy. It's kind of a callback to Roman Abramovich and his era. It's just like, okay, oil money. We know. Oh, what were your thoughts? What is your first grade of the home kit?
It's sort of it didn't move me, but it didn't offend me, which is, I guess, very base, like a good thing overall.
That's fair.
Like I see the, trying to do something, not necessarily beat you over the head with a design, but enough of a pattern. The coloring, I don't mind. I just don't think the design did much to move me, and there wasn't really a story behind it that sort of made me feel attached to it. So yeah, it's fine.
That's fine. Okay, what about the away? I'm
not a huge white kit fan, but I actually do like that shirt. I maybe wish it was a little brighter of a white. Maybe is my only knock. It's more creamish, like an off-white. But I like it. I've grown to love a collar. It's not necessarily my favorite kind of style of collar, but I've learned to love collars, I think, as I've gone on. But yeah, I liked it. It's clean, but it's got just enough pop of color, enough texture design on the off-white to make it there. I don't really like the fit necessarily on the players. Like I think it's one of those kits that actually looks better like in photos or on like the everyday fan versus the players. It's a weird thing to say maybe. But I necessarily like the way they moved. But yeah, I like those a little bit better. So if the first one's a C, the second one's maybe a B.
Okay. C and B. All right. The third, some black. There's some pink. You got the pointing up Nike check. What is all that about?
I don't like the check. I don't like the check at all. And that's not the only kit I've seen it on. I don't like that sort of upward standing check. It's a little weird to me. It's like a center crest. It's just like no, like you can probably do a decent job of it.
Don't like a center crest. Okay.
Not really. I mean, that's just a style preference. I've grown up with
of course
right or left kit, badges, so it's kind of what I like. The third kit probably also a B, maybe a B minus. Like I really think it's hard to mess up black and pink, and so they didn't really do that, and so that's good. The story behind it is. Like I get people's pushback on it. But of the three kits, it's probably the one I'd wear. But no, I'd probably wear the white one. But yeah, I liked it. It's a little bit different. I'm not, always moved by our third kits. I harken back to our. Are we not to Crystal Palace third kit year? It's just very confusing. But we won in those kits, so who am I? But yeah, it's cool, like it's different. I'm not usually a fan of our third kits, but I liked it more than I've liked some of the ones in the past. So yeah, like a B.
Enzo Maresca, manager, is the next category. People feel strongly about him. And I thought it was mostly negative. But he gets you to the conference final. He gets that trophy.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Let's talk.
So I have so many feelings about both of my managers, which is a wild thing to say because they've been, by all accounts, very successful in their first year. And so these are champagne problems. I know. A grade is going to be hard for me because I'd have to think through it a little bit. So okay, here's where I am with Maresca.
Yeah, let's talk this out.
I think one, we're going to get ourselves in trouble if we play the game of we could have had Enrique, because I think that's a lot of where people are coming from now. And even that's like, yeah, but even Enrique wasn't this like at the beginning of PSG's run here. And
it was a lot of bad. Yeah, they had to completely change who they were, honestly, in order to get this team that we're seeing now.
Right, and you can understand why he was somebody we targeted, because that PSG team is fairly young. Like, they have some veterans, obviously, but you can see conceptually what the plan was. So that at least lets me know the plan is consistent. Right, that at least lets me know, okay, they were legitimately looking for dudes who could coach toddlers, essentially, and help develop them, because that's the way they were going to build.
Yeah.
So if they couldn't get Enrique, it clearly seems like they thought Maresca was the next best dude. That seems to be what or whatever next, because I think it was him, boy at Ipswich, maybe Amarim and a few others we talked to. If that's the list, I'm probably okay with it in the long run. Where I give Maresca grace is it's his first time at this level, right? Like, he hasn't coached. He hasn't been the man at this level. The Premier League is hard, even in a down year. It's a hard league. You learn a lot of lessons really quickly. He had some experience with it, obviously working with Pep. But you could tell, like, he hit a wall there, and injuries don't help. All of this other stuff, the pace of the league is more than anything he's ever dealt with. And I think he got a little flustered. I think he got a little overwhelmed. I think he struggled to find that balance of, I want to do it this way. I know what the plan is, versus like, we gotta adapt, right? Like, it's the same conversation people have about big age, right? Like, when do you stick and when do you like, oh no, I need to get results now? And finding that balance between developing really young players and winning. Like, that's a really hard dance to do. And we got fourth. Now, did we get it by the skin of our teeth? Sure.
Hey, but you're there.
We're there in a year when that probably wasn't what people expected of us.
Yeah, I feel like at the beginning of the season, he was telling a lot of people to just prepare for no Champions League next year. So I'm pretty sure he even said no European games.
Football,
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean,
yes, for the next season, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, once you were in the conference, it kind of felt like they should have won that. So I do expect that. And like you said, with so many young players, it's really tough to get any sort of consistency. Then, like, you had Mudryk, who
yeah, and again,
gone for basically he's not coming back. He's not coming back.
Yeah, he's not, certainly not at this level. Yeah, it's and listen, like, a lot of money gets spent or moved around, or however you want to say it, right? I think our teams have similar conversations about these things. But right, it was the $1 billion bottle job. It was by the way, we also get a lot of money. I would like to point that out, because our academy is good. Do I always feel great about how we go about it? No, I do not. I would like to keep some of those players, but that's pure profit. Like, we get to do that in a way that not all other clubs get to do, because we've put a lot into that academy. So, like, still we've spent money. Not always in areas we need to. Goalkeeper, and we'll probably talk about that in a little bit going forward. But to be able to manage the roster of dudes like, we're gonna play because we're tied to them. I think they at least got a coach who was willing to be like, okay, this is my hard line. If you're in training, you're on the roster. If you're not, you're not. Right? Like, really setting that tone early, I think was really important for a buy-in from that team. And for however we feel about Maresca.
That's the point.
the guys seem pretty bought in. Do you know what I mean? And so for whatever my frustrations, like his deep commitment to some tactical choices that we have, he's continued that inversion. He's not quite as bad. Well, no, with Kukurea he is. Right? Some of those things. And I think I see flashes of like, oh, that could really work. I think health is a major part. Like one season of Lavia and Caicedo could probably get us pretty far. Do you know what I mean?
No,
like we only get it in snippets. If Fofana was not also made of glass, like there's certain players where I'm like, man, like sometimes they're just injury prone, and you got to know how to work around that, and you got to build the squad depth. And I think that's what the success of this season has allowed us to do is, okay, we can now flip that. We have Champions League. We've won a trophy. They needed to win something. I think I respect his deep commitment to the Conference League. And the rotation that he did, really getting those young players experience, because we shouldn't have been in that tournament. I don't think any team of our size should be in a tournament like that. But using it to your advantage if you are. Like those are
yes, you should win. So that does make sense.
Right. Yeah. And you should be able to win getting experience for those players, which is what we did. And so in that sense, perfect scenario. Joke for us to be there, but if you're going to be there anyway, you might as well use it. And that really, I think, helped Maresca in terms of the overall buy-in from the system, because those young players got experience, got to play, got to lift a trophy, really at the academy level onward, the youth level onward, really having that wholesale sort of cultural buy-in. I liken it to what Emma Hayes is doing, right? Like this whole, like you start from the bottom and you streamline it all the way up. And he seems to be a part of that cog. I'm sure there's players he wants, but he doesn't seem to be a forceful, like, you got to go get me this guy. That might change the further he gets into his Chelsea tenure. But for right now, I think he's kind of like, I can work with what I'm given, which we'll get into the front office later. Probably a good trait to have when you work with Chelsea. But I do think he's stubborn. I do think he can be overwhelmed at times. I think he's very interesting with the media. I think a lot of it is to protect his players because they are young. Like, I think he's willing to stand in the gap and be like, oh, okay, whatever wild things they're going to say, they'll say them to me. I'll take the expectations off of you. I think he still has to find that balance between taking that pressure off of them and having reasonable expectations of them out loud. And I think that comes maybe year 2, year 3, year 4. But I think he played that game fairly well. So yeah, like I said, it's his first year too. So I can give him a bit of grace. But yeah, he definitely annoys me. I've definitely said horrible things about him at least once each week. But that's how I love. It's fine.
I watch, shade of blue. So I'd much rather watch a blue team than a red team than the red teams, I guess. Because, Briffer's not too bad. Forest aren't too bad. Those are red teams. But yeah, we can move on to the players. There are players on the squad where it's like, oh yeah, no, they're great. I see what they have going on with them. And then there are some players where it's just all levels of impressed and frustrated. Because hold on, what was now that you've kind of talked it through with Enzo Maresca, what grade would you give him?
I'm doing a lot of B's. I think B's are good because they did by most accounts have a successful season. That's a solid 3.0 average. I feel comfortable saying that.
That's fair.
Room for improvement.
And there should always be room for improvement. You mentioned Lavia, you got Cole Palmer, Tosin Adarabario. I always butcher his name. Jadon Sancho. Y'all are little man city all over the place. And the only one that I guess frustrates me the most is Lavia, but also doesn't frustrate me because he's been injured insanely. But I don't know, that just feels like a freak accident. I've also had Reece James, but he seems to have figured out his health situation, which is all in all good for football and great for Chelsea. But oh man, Noni Madueke, I I love him as much as he pisses me off watching him play
Yes, he's one of those players, right? Like,
yeah.
you keep Noni because he's capable of moments of like brilliance or just rage. Like, talked cash shit about Wolverhampton.
Yes.
And then scored a hattie. Like, that kind of energy. Like, oh, okay, young man. All right. All right. Man. If you can back it up, okay. And can really create, I think, works well with some of those other young strikers up top, works well with Cole. Cole seems to want him around. I think that carries a lot of weight these days. So, like, the Nonis, yes. I think people have a lot of mixed opinions on Neto. I think there's something there. I think he's probably not going to add one more thing to his game, right? So I think that's a very situational, maybe, winger. But I would keep him around. Again, Sancho also capable of moments, but I don't.
Y'all should come back to choose United.
Yeah, like if I had to choose between Noni and Jaden, I'm keeping Noni. So like,
for sure.
Yeah. And he did a service, and hey, like, honestly, I still think it was a win-win. Like, he got his confidence back. Like, it wasn't him. Like, he's not gonna get us the trophies we want, but it probably wasn't him, right? Like. And that works for him. And he got to live, he's a London boy. Like, he got to really, live that kind of dream out. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, Nkuku's gone, obviously. Dewsbury Hall's gone. If you can get Shea out of my life, DCC, I think, is still on loan. He can stay.
I love it.
I think bringing Chalobah back ended up being very good. I wasn't 100. I didn't really love sending him off in the first place, but again, academy kid, I got it for money reasons.
Yeah.
But having to call him back on emergency loan and it working out is wild. So I really hope this time they're just like, you know what, our bad trip. Like, well, you're good.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing how they treated him, especially like you said, a homegrown kid. Like he's been there forever, and he's seen so many managers. It's like the district. And I get why Chelsea fans are at one point in time wanted him gone, because you show up and you shake the table like he did. Some people can either love it because they feel the team really does need a change up, but there are like loyalists, for better or for worse, and that could be really insulting to what he did to Chalobah and a few others.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm going to assume that that's like, okay, everything's kind of squashed. Like, he played him quite a bit, so it's not as, like, he was necessary. And listen, managers make mistakes. Like, hey, man, like, my bad. You're better than some of the people we kept. At least we got to figure it out in a time that we could all kind of make up and win some things together and keep it going. So I do think we've learned our lesson there, and he'll stay. But I do think there's some defensive depth we definitely need in the midfield as well. We definitely need some defensive depth because, like, man, Moy's got that Conte engine, but, like, I would like him to get some rotation, some rest. There's a World Cup coming up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then, obviously, you can get every goalkeeper out of my life. I would be fine with that. We're not gonna, like, that's a we gotta raise our level thing. Like, we're not gonna win with the keepers we have. Not those stuff we want to win.
No, Robert Sanchez, you can, like, he just makes so many silly mistakes, like so many silly mistakes where you're just like, bro, what is even going on?
It's not a lack of talent, but, like, if it's gone between your ears, especially as a keeper, like, I can't pay you, dude. Like, no, not at this level.
Yeah, and I remember Felix Jorgensen. There was a La Liga documentary, and he was in it, and you got to know him. So when they're like, he signed to Chelsea, just from who I got from him and his girlfriend, who seemed to be trying to become like a social media influencer type. Their move to Chelsea made a lot of sense, but I was like, oh, I don't think it's going to be successful for him, though.
No, I just think it's a step above what he can handle. And I think that's fine, right? Not everybody can play at that level of expectation. I think now that we've gotten ourselves back to where we want to be, which is Europe, big Europe. And gotten ourselves in whatever the heck this version of the Club World Cup is, whatever. Feels like a lot of extra football, but okay.
I know.
But you know what I mean? Like now we're back among the big boys. Like that's where we want to be. Yeah, you gotta upgrade. And I know I just saw today on Fab's thing. I know Fab is not always our favorite, but who's your man? I'm not gonna say his name right because it's French. Mignon from France, from Milan.
Yep. Money Mike.
So Money Mike, yeah. So Black Keepers Union for sure. He's definitely an upgrade over anything we have. And I know I'm also a Milan fan, though they're the team that I probably care the least about in Europe. But he hasn't been like himself necessarily the last 2 seasons, but also our defense has also not been great. So I'm not necessarily going to put it on him. Whereas I think if that we shore up our defense and put that in front of him, I think we have a grown up in the net, and that's a huge part of this to really help guide that young back line that has a lot of talent, but is raw. And like I love Levi, but like sometimes a little bit, like sometimes a little bit he acts his age, right? Like it's just like a few of those dudes act their age, and like Cucurella was somebody I was willing to write off, right? Like I was like, let's get him out of there. I know we, it was either us or y'all for a while with him, when he moved from Brighton, and I was like, I don't know what Pep's on him. But he's been great like the past maybe 15 to 18 months, like, and not just for club, for country as well. And listen, like it's feast or famine. He's a little bit older. He's not necessarily the adult in the room, but has really sort of been able to step up and take that role for better or worse. And again, his teammates seem to like him. And then of course, like you said, Reese is back now. I think sort of get the surgery. Like that's always my advice. Just get the surgery when you have the chance. It made a world of difference for him. But he's coming back into himself, and I really expect that to hit its stride next season. Again, particularly with the World Cup coming, there's some players with some stuff to prove, and they want to get back into their national team side. And so Reese is one I'm definitely circling with that. And then we've got a known, mostly a known quantity coming in Estavia from Brazil. So that's going to be super interesting. And then I know we're trying to make some moves. I still think we need a striker. Nico is feast or famine.
Yes, he is.
And has a fuse, because I was like, okay, this decision making when you have a young squad is that red card. It was just dumb. It was just dumb. I mean, luckily it didn't cost us in the end, but like, it should have. It should have. Yeah, it should have. We got away with that, but like, you can't be hot-headed like that, dude. It's too important. You're too important.
Just flew in there. I was like,
there was no, like, your teammates can't even defend you on that one. They were
like, that was so obvious. So obvious. He like lined it up. I was like, oh my gosh.
And so I'm just like, okay, but hopefully that's what this season does, right? Like maybe helps get some of that out of systems. We'll see. I don't think it'll be true for every single player, but I think for some of them, okay, now you know what this feels like. You know the rhythm of the season. You know all of that stuff. So next year, you're not nervous. You can kind of focus in and do that. But yeah, we're in Champions League now, so we gotta definitely upgrade some positions. So I can see about 7-8 people rolling out easily. And it's already started, like you said. Sancho went back to United. I'm sorry to him. Sorry to that man. But yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of movement on a lot of teams this summer, and I mean we're already hearing a lot of it. That the manager carousel, that's definitely moving and.
I am glad for that stability, at least. Like,
yes.
Okay, I know Maresca will be there next year. Like, whoever's coming in knows what they're getting, kind of thing.
Yeah, because trying to then bring in a new manager, you'd have to make sure he fits kind of the vision, which obviously you're able to do, but it just can make things so out of whack, which is why I cannot wait to talk to whoever I'm talking to about Manchester United, the men's side. What grade do you give the squad this year?
I mean, they met their objectives at the beginning of the season. It was very clear that regardless of what Maresca was saying, the objective was top 4, win the Conference League. Like those are the doable things. They did both of those things. So I'll say that keeper situation is really bringing me down. I'll go B+. I'll go B plus.
Oh wow! Oh,
see,
okay.
I'm being nice.
That was a lot nicer than I was expecting, especially when
Getting to A is going to be really hard. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, the supporters. Okay, when it comes like Chelsea supporters, I know they're chill. I mean, they're compared to other London teams, but they've had the success. So I mean, you're kind of gonna get those type of people. I know that in England, most Chelsea fans, they tend to be a little posh. So like that's a whole other separate thing.
Well, it's Chelsea, right? Like it's the
right.
name connotates posh, right? It's a boot named after you, right? Okay,
yeah. But I guess with Enzo, all the changing of the management, the young players, I guess since I don't hear much about Chelsea fans losing their shit, other than at Maresca, like I understood,
right?
Maresca but I mean overall, how has the supporters as a group, a collective, how have they handled this last season? What would you rate them?
So it's so interesting because I deal with such a different type of Chelsea fan now since I left the other place.
That's fair.
So I haven't really checked in to see. My general feeling, and again, I'm very much an online fan, though I have a lot of friends, obviously, in real life who are Chelsea fans as well. Our crash outs tend to be in-house. Do you know what I mean? Like we tend to direct our rage at like our front office or our coach or our players. I rarely I'm a hater, but I'm an ethical hater, right? Like
support.
My rivals are my rivals, right? Even if I stopped rooting for my team, I'll always hate my rivals.
Hating is the best part.
Right. So having said that, I know as a supporter myself, and this is Chelsea, but this is also my other teams, like I'm harder on my teams than I am anything else. Like
that's fair.
My ire is directed appropriately, at least I think appropriately, at the institution I support.
Look inwards. That's great.
Yeah, like, hey man, like, and mostly because usually the stuff that happens is stuff that we were like, hey, I think that's gonna happen, and they didn't listen. Like that's usually how I feel in general about sport. There's always fan bases. I think we can be a little obnoxious, right? Like we are a trendy pick for some people. I absolutely get that as well. Like you said, posh, not necessarily everybody's working class team. But it's weird, right? Like I think, yes, but I also think there's moments when they can be very gritty. I think some of the sort of best of Chelsea has been that grittiness. It's like the opposite of that sort of posh Demeter, like get to work, that kind of thing. Which I like.
Central C has been loving all up on London lately, and he's pretty gritty London, isn't he?
Right. And so I think for me that's kind of the balance of why I like them. I mean, obviously I came in through like Trump and some other people, but like I think that we balance that pretty well, and I like that.
Yes.
Like I said, my circle of Chelsea fans is already just people I know anyway, by and large. So for me, obviously, it's really cool to be in community with them. Like I have my own separate chats where we all just crash out about our own team so we don't bother everybody else. Right, because you just need to get it out sometimes, and I just want to be like very Chelsea specific. Yeah. Like, all right, like I want to specifically talk about all the ways my team ate shit today. Like, and I just need to talk to other people who agree with me. Like, I don't want to debate. I don't want to be right or wrong. I don't want facts. I just want to get it out.
Yeah,
I want to get it out.
See, you get it. That's what pisses me off. I love him about Sharpie sometimes because I'll just be like talking about feelings and stuff. And then he'll be like, there you go, feelings getting in the way again. And I'm like, yeah, nigga, shut up.
That's the beauty of sports fandoms. Feelings matter, man. But yeah, and I get it out the system. But by and large, I feel like I can sit back at the end of the season and be pretty realistic about where we were successful. And I'm like, considering what we've been through the last 2.5 seasons, I'll take this season. Like, I didn't get, like, I had to sit through a lot of jokes and hold a lot of L's the last 2 years. Like, it was some rough times. And I know, again, that's a wild thing to say when you're a Chelsea fan. But it wasn't great. Like, the last 2 years, not fun. I feel for...
It was what it was, yeah.
I feel for fans who have to do that, like, every year. Do you know what I mean? Like, their teams are barely holding on, that kind of thing. I'm like, damn, that That's the kind of I don't want to live there. Like that's awful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad we don't live there anymore. Now let's see if we can get back to where we really want to be as a club at the height of heights. But yeah, I think they've been mostly understanding. I think I saw like the fan satisfaction survey, and I think most of them like stood in the mostly satisfied or like slightly dissatisfied, but like overall pretty realistic. Like, yeah, what we got is about what we were gonna get.
I honestly think so. Yeah, you won the competition that you should have won, and you'll get Champions League next year from your placement. So it's like, right. Yeah.
With a squad that probably should not have finished fourth. So like, honestly. We're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, no, a lot. I'm very much looking forward to like talking to my Nottingham Forest people, the Aston Villa people, like those, the people where their teams fell short somehow, some way, and yeah, I'm.
But did they though?
I mean,
if you're Forest, you still got Europe though, right? I know it's not the Europe you wanted. Like if you had asked them at the beginning of the year,
they're definitely happy. Yeah, they're for sure happy. But you know, I'm gonna, for the sake of entertainment, I'm gonna be messy.
That's fair. That's fair.
What would you grade the supporters?
I mean, the supporters will. I'll go A because I don't. It's hard out here. And again, I don't interact with supporters in London.
Or like the crazy negative ones either. Yeah, once you get away from that other app, I mean, there are those people, but there aren't as many.
Not nearly. It's not nearly the same vibe. So
or if they're crashing out, they usually tend to have like a reason behind it. Like they're like describing what they don't. Like, it's like, I can see where you're going. I don't agree, but I can see where you're going.
Exactly.
Which is nice. Okay. Last category, the front office. And you hinted at it earlier, so I'm very excited on the grade and how you feel about the front office of Chelsea.
Okay. So I'm chuckling a bit because, again, I cover Woso, so I can always draw parallels. I'm looking at that scarf at the bottom.
Oh no. Oh no.
No. This isn't a horrible comparison.
Oh, okay, good. I'm so used to the negatives.
The idea to build young is the same.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I think accidentally Chelsea got it more right than not. But I do think they are genuinely committed to okay, we're going to go really young and see what happens. Now, my feelings about building young, especially around like the U.S. women's national team, are pretty known at this point. My life philosophy in terms of soccer is ideally a third, and a third. You want a third true blue vets, older vets. You want a third of people in their prime. You want a third of younger players. So you can keep the cycle. That's the idea. Chelsea said no one over 26. like no grown-ups. We'll get a coach who can maybe corral all of this young energy, a team full of dudes whose frontal lobes haven't finished developing yet. Which is, I was like, oh, okay. And then signing them to really long contracts in a way that feels a little like, hey, like they're not minors, but it still feels a little sticky. But I do think they have a coach that's good enough to corral that, right? They didn't get the hires wrong. Could they have been more correct? Probably. They definitely needed to get some older players on that roster, right?
Yes.
Because I think that makes your process easier and it takes pressure off of everybody else. There's also a lot of infighting in our front office because why not? And who's really in charge and whose idea is this really? There's been a lot of shakeup at the academy as well. They've overhauled that, which has made a lot of people nervous. Like, that's our bread and butter. That's the thing we do better than damn near anybody. Like, what are you doing? Having said that, I think they won a few youth titles this year, so who am I? It makes me nervous because I don't think there's a full clarity of like who the buck stops with. and we own other teams. I think like multi-club teams are not necessarily du jour right now, though I think you all do it better than most. But like, yeah, little dodgy for people right now.
Yes.
So I think props for having a clear and concise plan, even if I don't always agree with how they're trying to execute it. Demerits for like, there's no clear leadership. And if you're going to build young the way they're building, you have to have some clarity. Front office, like there's a little bit more on the pitch, but you have to have that clarity and like chain of command who the buck stops with. Because until that happens, it's gonna feel a little unstable. And so that's the reason why I was like, I'm looking at that, the other team that I cover. And I'm like, okay, they at least have like adults in those places, right? Whereas I feel like Chelsea men, adults in name only. Like, I don't quite know. I know who's calling the shots at your LA team. Like, I don't know that about Chelsea. And I'm like, that makes me, even with the success or like us getting to the point where we wanted to get this year, I don't know what the next step looks like because I don't know. Again, I don't know who's calling the shots. So I don't know exactly what next season's going to look like. I don't know what the off season's going to look like. I can kind of make some guesses based on who we're maybe looking at, who we're reaching out to, who we're trying to get. But I don't know, and I don't really like that uncertainty. And again, I was down for Roman going. Like, I think that's really messy for a myriad of reasons. But we never had to guess under Roman. You knew exactly who was in charge, right? And so I think that's a hard shift for fans. I think that's a hard shift for the people who are still there, though there's not a lot of people there from that regime anymore. So yeah, it's a different way of being a Chelsea fan, maybe. So I think like that uncertainty makes me a little uneasy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. Definitely. Because it is, yeah, with the American ownership and guns a-blazing, and yeah, they're trying to.
I call the other guy Mr. E because I never say his name right.
That's fair. And I've early this year, that's what I was hearing a lot more of, like them going at it. And I guess I'm hearing less of it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not happening, but they have at least cleared up the people who are leaking information.
I think either clean up the people who are leaking information or have come to sort of a truce.
Yeah.
Enough to be like, okay, let's get through the season. Let's meet our objectives, and then we can come back to the table maybe. But it's definitely a power struggle, and I don't think it's over. Like, I think there's more to come. But I think for now, we've met our objectives, and so they're kind of like, okay, let's chill for a little bit, see if we can get in before we lose our minds again. That seems to be the deal. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, what grade would you give the front office?
I'm never going to give ownership a higher grade than I give everybody else. We'll go C+. C's get degrees.
That's real. Oh, man. Well, truly, thank you for your time. Please let everybody know where they can find you and the things that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at Southern Sylvs on Blue Sky. You can find me on Instagram as well. That's not my name. I think it's just Sylvia, SBB, something like that. If you can't find me that way, you can find me through the Shea Butter account on Instagram, on Blue Sky, any of those places. I'm not too far behind. So yeah, definitely do that. You can hit our link tree at any of our social media, and I'll tell you all the places we live, our website, everything else, where you can find all of our episodes. So yeah, and get our merch. We have new Don't Play Out the Back tie-dye t-shirts.
I got one.
We sell a few every weekend, man. Like, we genuinely sell Don't Play Out the Back shirts pretty much every week now.
That's
didn't
good.
realize it was going to catch on.
Yeah.
Teams keep doing it, so.
I know. As long as the teams keep doing it, it's just like, there we go.
Good old-fashioned capitalism. And we also have our first, hey, I can't knock it. But seriously, stop playing off the back if you're not built for it. Please. And then we have our first Pride kit, so Shea Butter Pride 25, on sale in collaboration with Olive in York. So you can check out any of our social media as well. To find that kit comes in gray and teal. The teal seems to be the big seller right now. So yeah, support. More stuff coming, more heat coming, more events coming. We got people covering TST this weekend, so that'll be really exciting. So check our socials and other places to get photographs and some other things about the tournament this weekend. So we're really excited about that. Yeah, and more to come for sure. We're staying busy this summer.
Sounds like it. I love it. Hey, y'all inspire me in so many ways, and very much enjoy being around y'all and being able to just listen. That's what I do for the most part, is listen, because I'm getting more and more comfortable, and especially because the women's side of the sports, that I'm definitely learning a lot about that. So that's so great, actually, because there aren't many better places to be at than with the group of people that I have landed in with. So I am eternally thankful.
Well, yeah, there's always room on the side for sure, and you're killing the game. I try to tell you that out loud and in private, but like the work y'all are doing is amazing. It's I'm really excited to help when I can, so I'm glad I caught one today.
Thank you. Well, I'll let you go back to your packing.
Yeah,
or
let me get back to it.
If you got something else that you can,
nah, the women play later, so I probably need to go ahead and
I forgot about that. Yes. Okay. Let's go. Okay. I was deciding whether or not I was going to get adult beverages, but now that they're playing, that means I'm going to go get some adult beverages.
There you go. Oh,
perfect. Thank you with that. Helping me out in another way.
I got you.
Well, everybody, we will be back very soon. By very soon, in like 5 minutes, I'm going to talk Arsenal women with a friend, Treb. And honestly, we have a show every day during the week for like the next 9 days or so. We're just talking about some football with different teams, learning, listening, being a little chaotic. I appreciate everybody at FanFest. You know the vibes. Shady gang, shady gang, shady gang.